G'day everybody and welcome to the channel. This is Mike, and the next and possibly the last stage of development for this track is the outer terrain. It's turning into a bit of a mission, and of course I'm trying to make it accurate to 1985 or thereabouts, like up to 85 to 90. As you can imagine, so 1985 to now, which is 2023, so we're talking, quite a few decades. There's been a lot of development, so there's a lot more housing and industrial areas and all this sort of stuff, which were not there back in the 80s. This is, you can see what it is. I used Google SketchUp to do this, and the good thing about it is, if I can stop stuffing around here, Google SketchUp actually has reasonably accurate elevation data, and what I've done, I've used that for the outer terrain. The distance, I can't remember now, I think it's quite a decent area. So we go from, say, here to here. It's 20 kilometers, so it's 20 kilometers square. I think that's enough. What I might end up doing is putting a horizon, like I did with, I've done that with Lakeside and Nublar and a couple of others, simply because I don't want to have to build right out like a 60 kilometer terrain. It's not needed, you won't see it. So once that's done, I'll be happy with that, and I need to then also get the edges here correct. So the whole idea is that we can hop on this road, for example, and drive out here, down here, and join up back out here. And I may actually work out a road to run in out the back so you can have a bit of a drive around the outside of Mount Panorama. So now comes to the data I'm going to use. These are basically Google Earth and also historic images, 3D, not 3D, high resolution aerial photos. So the oldest one I could find which had decent resolution was this one, which I'm using, and it's from 1983. And you can't see much there unless we zoom in, and then you'll see the Mount Panorama circuit as it was in 1983. So going right back there, we've got Conrod Straight, of course, in the old pit entrance, which was straight down here, and you go through the entrance here. And Reza Studios have modelled this track, the 1983 version. There was not much difference, except the 85 version was the first one with the new pit entrance, and also going up to the top of the mountain, the 85 version had this section scalped out, and the new sand trap put in there in preparation for Group A. So 86 we had more modifications to the track, and then 87, 88, 89 all the new barriers were put in, and honestly, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but they ruined the track. So I know it's all safe, I know it's better than it was, but the chase was put in there by FAI regulations. It was not because of Danny Hume's death. It was put in because of the regulations saying that you cannot have a straight more than 1,000 meters long. There has to be a chicane. So they measured from the top of the mountain down and of course Conrod Strait is well over a kilometre long. They put in the chase in this section just past the drive-in, and love it or hate it, I hate it. I think they could have done something better with this, with Conrod Strait, to keep it safe, but they didn't. Anyway, I digress. So I've started to work around the drive-in. There's a creek which runs all the way down here. You've got a dam there. There's another little dam there, and then the creek runs through the middle of the orchard. I'm going to model this section here. There's some culverts and stuff I will do there, as is also here. There's another lake, a culvert there, creek. There's another little creek comes down here, so I'll put a culvert there. That'll be all done later, not important at this stage. But what we're looking at here is how Bathurst was in 1983, and all these little areas here were built out. So we go to here. This is, I think, 1988. It still has, so you can hear, there's the sand trap there, and these roads are still all dirt. So this road down here joining onto Pitt Straight Road will be modelled in the track. This road wasn't there in 85, but all this area was, and the trees there, which were for sound basically. And then we've got the last photo here, which is 1992. There's a date here somewhere. 25th of the 9th, 93. So this is 1993. So 10 years after 83. And hard to tell, but see, this has been sealed. And there's a lot more industrial areas starting to sprout up, and new residential areas and stuff like this. So I'm going to be grafting parts of this so it looks accurate for the 83 track. That's probably about it. The pits, I'm going to try and find some people who can. This is actually from 1985. There's actually a little bit up here which I didn't realise, fenced in. And this building here, I have no idea what it is, but that's a permanent building. There's also some permanent concrete here where they put temporary buildings on, I think. And then you've got toilet blocks. There's another building over here which is a permanent building. I cannot find photos of these. All the rest are tents. There's actually some temporary grandstands which are put in there. I may populate some of this, and I'll just use generic rFactor tents just out of some of the other ones. I'm not going to make each tent, that's just stupid. And then populate the cars. So there may be in the future a race day version of the track. So that's what I'm up to at the moment. We'll get this done, and once it's ready, it's probably going to take a couple of weeks to get this done. I will start planting. Whoops, don't do that. I will start planting tree lines and other bits and pieces. I may end up sectioning this into 4 sections and use 4 high resolution photos instead of one dirty grey big one, because it just seems to be not working as well, and it also makes load times very, very long. So because it's 16K, so it's a fairly big photo. Don't save now. So that's about it. So if you look here, I've got the old, I've got a temporary outer, see how it lags there? That's because it's loading this dirty great big file. It's 350 meg for one image, which is probably overdoing it. So we come up and it's darker because it's not matched. But honestly, I don't think I need to go any further out than what I've done, because you won't see it. But what I will be doing is getting the alignment correct. So when we get onto this road here, which comes down past the TV towers, I'll just go back. You can see the road there. It'll line up. It'll line up here, so it needs to come up this way a little bit. Just little things like this race course here was not there in 1985. These buildings were not there in 1985. Just some minor details. So I don't need to go any further out here with the mountains. I might just put a horizon around so that, you know, that'll just show up some of the mountains around the outskirts. So we're coming along well. It's getting to the point where I'm almost happy with how it is, and any other details will be just small details like putting shading in under the orchards, and of course I'll be going around and redoing all the houses. There's like 28 houses or something scattered around Mount Panorama, and I'll make them as accurate as I can going from historic photos. But that's it. So we're getting close to the end, and anything after this last major update with the exterior terrain, any update will be just fine-tuning stuff. And I think then I might try, once it's done, it's probably going to be a couple of months away, all my tracks will end up in a Assetto Corsa as well. Whether I do it myself or I find someone who will do it how I want it. I've had a couple of people convert the tracks and change stuff. I don't want that done. It's my project. I've spent thousands of hours on with all these tracks, and when they're converted, they will be converted how I want, not how someone thinks they need to be converted. So there we go. So updates will be rolling out over the next month with the external terrain. It won't look anything like this. It'll be blended in so the colours match, all that sort of stuff. And then once that's done, I think Bathurst 85 is a pretty well done and dusted beastie. And the outer details will be just trees and tree lines and stuff like that. I may put some very low poly buildings in just to give it an idea of Bathurst being there, but we'll see. Anyway, long video, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And yep, thank you for subscribing, liking, following this bit of a mission on this track, and I will see you in the next update.